Despite unimaginable injury luck this season, Kyle Shanahan has the 49ers competing for the 1 seed in the NFC going into Week 18 in what is by far the best division in the NFL. Injuries to Fred Warner and everybody on San Francisco's defensive line, including Nick Bosa, have forced the Niners to trot out a variety of backups everywhere on defense this season. The injury reports have been just as bad on the offensive side, but unlike his defense, Shanahan's offense hasn't skipped a beat. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, Ben Bartch, and now Trent Williams have all been injured this season, not to mention the fact that Brandon Ayuk hasn't played at all, and yet the 49ers are coming off back-to-back 40-point performances. With George Kittle inactive and Trent Williams done for the night after one snap, San Francisco scored at will against the Bears on Sunday night. They put up nearly 500 total yards, averaging 8.7 through the air and 5.9 on the ground. They were 7 for 10 on third down and 5 for 5 in the red zone. Everything was working, at least after Brock Purdy threw a pick six on San Francisco's first play from scrimmage. After the pick, Shanahan got his offense moving with the run game, and his run calls in this game were strung together in a way that had Chicago's linebackers looking lost. For example, 3 of Shanahan's first 4 run calls were zone scheme designs that sent a man in motion at the snap to lead block on the front side of the run. First, he called a zone toss, with Jake Tonges as the lead blocker. Then he went with split zone with Kyle Juszczyk lead blocking. On the following drive, San Francisco's third of the game, Shanahan called split zone again, but this time Kyle Juszczyk's motion at the snap went in the opposite direction of the run. This traffic at the snap simulates a counter run design for the defense. The offensive line is pushing horizontally in one direction, while pulling blockers work against the flow of the offensive line. Counter runs call for the back to follow the pullers, and that's what Chicago's linebackers anticipate here. Look at Jaquan Brisker, Tremaine Edmunds, and TJ Edwards. They're all flowing with the pullers, expecting the back to be right behind them. But this isn't counter, it's split zone, because the back flows away from the pullers and with the offensive line. The tight end sift blocks the backside defensive end, and the fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, is a decoy, blocking nobody. The offensive line creates a cutback lane for Brian Robinson, and there's nobody there to meet him at the second level because all 3 of the second level defenders are fitting this run as if it were counter. On the next drive, Shanahan called another variation of split zone, but went back to sending a lead blocker in motion at the snap. The linebackers again flow too far in the direction of the motion, which allows the right tackle to seal Tremaine Edmunds inside, creating a huge cutback lane for Christian McCaffrey. On the very next play, Shanahan went back to his first run call of the game, a zone toss with a lead blocker in motion at the snap. These linebackers, after being punished for over-pursuing the motion multiple times now, don't get wide enough to meet McCaffrey when the wide corner forces him to cut back. When TJ Edwards tries to undercut the advancing guard, this play is over. McCaffrey can just walk in the end zone. Just like Bill Belichick used to make young quarterbacks see ghosts with coverage rotations, Kyle Shanahan makes linebackers see ghosts with tight ends and fullbacks in motion at the snap. And the diversity in his run calls makes the next one impossible to predict. Having Brock Purdy back and healthy also opens up Shanahan's call sheet in terms of both the run and the pass. He used Purdy's mobility so many times in this game against Chicago through a couple of zone read runs and tons of bootleg calls that aren't nearly as effective when Mac Jones is his quarterback. Here, for example, the 49ers call a bootleg off of wide zone action, which tells Purdy to keep it after faking the handoff, and Kyle Juszczyk to wind back to the flat after selling the run fake. Purdy could easily dump this off within structure, and Juszczyk might get in the end zone if he does. But instead, he makes 2 defenders miss with his legs, and finds Juszczyk late to score anyway. The bootlegs that Shanahan leaned on in this game also set up one of his favorite changeups on San Francisco's game-winning drive. This call ties everything together. Kyle Juszczyk is put in motion at the snap, which pulls the linebackers to the left. Then, those linebackers see the offensive line flow in the opposite direction, which pulls them back to the right. But then Purdy keeps the ball, so the linebackers need to get depth in search of any crossing routes behind them, only for the ball to go all the way back to Christian McCaffrey on a throwback screen in the direction of the initial run fake. Nobody's there to take on McCaffrey's lead blockers, so he takes it for 18 yards to put the 49ers in field goal range down 3 late in the fourth quarter. Part of the reason why Mac Jones played well earlier this year when Purdy was injured was because he has the traits that this scheme demands, like anticipation and discipline. Purdy, of course, has those traits too. He can read coverage pre-snap and get the ball to a primary read on time when the situation calls for it. On this play from the first quarter, for example, Chicago shows a pre-snap cover 2 look, with press alignment on the outside and wide splits from the safeties in a 2-high shell. Post-snap, Purdy keys the middle linebacker, TJ Edwards, to confirm the Tampa 2 coverage. When Edwards flips his hips to run the pipe with the tight end, Jake Tonges, Purdy knows that Tonges will leave Edwards in the dust when he breaks back to the ball on his hook route. The ball is out to Tonges on time, and the 49ers log an 11-yard gain on first down. On what would be their final offensive snap of the game, San Francisco got the same pre-snap look from Chicago. The wide corners are up on the line of scrimmage and both safeties are outside of the hashes, which hints at Tampa 2. Because Purdy threw the hook route earlier in the game, TJ Edwards is ready for it. He flips his hips to run the pipe, but breaks down to anticipate the hook route. But because he triggers so hard on the hook route, he doesn't get enough depth to challenge the throwing window to the deep dig behind the hook. Purdy layers the ball over the linebackers and under the safeties to hit Juaun Jennings in stride, who took it for a 38-yard game-winning touchdown. Purdy has the timing and accuracy to make the basics of Shanahan's offense function. But those traits combined with Purdy's athletic gifts open up the playbook to include calls like this. He isn't a special athlete, but he's athletic enough to allow for play calls that require tight window throws down the field and to rise above the scheme when the defense wins the pre-snap chess match. Here, for example, San Francisco faces 3rd and 7, and Chicago stacks the line of scrimmage with 8 defenders. Despite the loaded line of scrimmage, this looks like cover 3 rather than an all-out blitz because there's a post safety. If the call is cover 3, Purdy has a reliable answer on the strong side. The wide corner will be put in conflict by the vertical route from the number 2 and the outbreaker at the sticks from Christian McCaffrey. The corner will have no choice but to bail with the number 2, and McCaffrey will have a leverage advantage over the apex defender on his way to the sideline. But when Purdy takes the snap, Chicago rolls to cover 2, which takes the strong side concept away. You can see a little bit of jumpiness when Purdy gets a coverage rotation that he didn't expect. But he doesn't force it to his pre-snap primary and instead works to the backside dig, which gets the 49ers a 20-yard gain on 3rd and long. Purdy is far from perfect and absolutely elevated by Shanahan's offense, but he's meeting the standard set by the massive contract extension he signed in May. Purdy's on fire, the 49ers offense is humming, and they look poised for another deep run in the playoffs. But it's important to remember that they wouldn't be in this position without wins over the Saints, Cardinals, Rams, Falcons, and Giants while their $250 million franchise quarterback was injured. A few weeks ago, I called Mike Macdonald the Coach of the Year, and my opinion of him has not changed. But Kyle Shanahan has closed the gap in this race. The 49ers have 6 players on their roster who have been named first-team All-Pro. 4 of them have missed time this season. And that doesn't even include the franchise quarterback, nor their best receiver, Brandon Ayuk. It would be impressive for them to be picking outside of the top 10 of the draft. And they have a real shot at the 1 seed. There is no driving force behind San Francisco's refusal to regress stronger than Kyle Shanahan calling plays. He's the best in the world at it. And if he beats Mike Macdonald's wicked Seahawks defense this week, Shanahan should finally be the Coach of the Year. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe. It's free, and it's a great way to help me continue making these videos. But that's all I've got for today. So until next time, take care.